The moment you decided to wear a mask to please everyone around you, you signed the death warrant of your own power. You mistakenly believed that being nice was a virtue. You thought compliance was a sign of a good heart. Carl Jung understood the cold truth. It was never virtue. It was cowardice. It was a calculated survival mechanism born out of a desperate fear of rejection. By wearing that flawless, pleasing mask, you traded your respect for artificial peace. But today, that mask is broken. In this video, we will dissect the terrifying psychological transition that occurs when a person finally decides to shatter their social facade. Pay close attention. We will uncover how a suppressed mind can break free from structural compliance to integrate its deepest shadow. Most importantly, you must prepare for Phase 4 of this broadcast. It is the absolute point of no return. It is the exact moment where your social reality will either collapse into chaos or harden into an unkillable mindset. Choose carefully: the warmth of the herd or the absolute power of the hunt. To understand the day your compliance dies, you must first understand the architecture of your prison. Carl Jung defined the persona as the social mask that an individual adopts to navigate the demands of society. It is a compromise between the unique individuality of a person and what the collective world expects them to be. The persona is not inherently evil. It is a necessary tool for survival. It allows you to speak to your boss, greet your neighbors, and operate within civilization without friction. The catastrophe occurs when you forget you are wearing it. Millions of modern men and women have committed psychological suicide by completely identifying with their social mask. You have practiced being agreeable for so long that your actual, authentic face has withered away underneath the stone. When you say yes to someone, while your internal reality screams no, who is actually speaking? It is not you. It is the hollow mask negotiating for safety. You have systematically trained your brain to prioritize the comfort of others over your own biological boundaries. You tolerate disrespect in silence. You accept baseline exploitation, and you smile through deep resentment. You tell yourself that you are doing it because you are a good person. You tell yourself that patience is a noble trait. But Jung warned us that every unexpressed emotion turns into internal toxicity. The mask of the nice person is secretly fueled by a massive repressed pool of bitter resentment. You are not peaceful. You are simply paralyzed by the fear of conflict. And this silent paralysis carries a devastating biological price that your conscious mind is actively trying to ignore. There is a profound, almost systematic delusion deeply embedded in modern society. We are taught from early childhood that weakness is synonymous with goodness. We are conditioned to believe that the individual who cannot fight, the one who never raises his voice, and the one who accepts every injustice with a quiet, submissive smile, is a saint. Society rewards this behavioral compliance because a sheep is far easier to manage than a wolf. But Carl Jung looked into the abyss of human nature and shattered this comfortable lie. He observed that a man who is incapable of doing harm is not a peaceful man. He is simply an impotent man. There is an immeasurable difference between being genuinely peaceful and being entirely harmless. To be harmless means you lack the claws, the teeth, and the systemic capacity to execute violence or stand up for yourself. You do not choose peace. Peace is forced upon you by your own weakness. You are nice because you have no other option. If a predator corners you and you do not fight back, it is not because you possess a highly evolved moral code. It is because you are paralyzed by absolute terror. You are a victim masquerading as a pacifist. The truly virtuous man, as Jung and the ancient philosophers understood, is something entirely different. The virtuous man is a dangerous individual. He possesses immense strength. He has claws. He has teeth. He has a dark, predatory side that is fully developed and capable of executing precise, calculated destruction if pushed too far. He is, by all definitions, a monster. But the defining characteristic of his virtue is that he keeps that monster under absolute, voluntary control. He chooses to keep his sword in its sheath, but everyone in the room knows he knows exactly how to use it. That is where true respect is born. Respect is never granted to the helpless. It is only negotiated with the dangerous. When you live your life trapped inside the identity of the nice person, you are operating from a place of chronic psychological castration. You look at your inability to handle conflict and you call it tolerance. You look at your deep fear of confrontation and you call it diplomacy. You look at your absolute submission to the demands of your family, your boss, and your friends, and you call it love. But underneath that thin, fragile layer of social politeness, a dark, toxic poison is accumulating. Jung called this the unresolved tension of the shadow. Every time you swallow your truth to keep someone else comfortable, that unsaid word does not simply vanish into thin air. It drops down into the deepest basements of your subconscious mind. It rots, it ferments, and over the course of 5, 10, or 20 years, it mutates into a massive, heavy reservoir of pure, unadulterated bitterness and resentment. The nice person is, historically, the most dangerous hypocrite in existence. Because they cannot express their aggression naturally and healthily through firm boundaries, their aggression becomes passive. They express it through subtle sabotage, through malicious gossip, through emotional withholding, and through permanent victimhood. They make everyone around them feel guilty just for existing. They use their apparent helplessness as a weapon to manipulate their environment. They wear the white mask of the martyr, but underneath, they are driven by a deep, unconscious desire to punish the world for their own cowardice. Carl Jung explicitly warned us that until you integrate your dark side, until you accept that you have the capacity to be ruthless, cold, and calculated, you will never be whole. You will remain a permanent child, a psychological parasite depending on the approval of the herd to validate your existence. To break the loop of the nice person, you must be willing to look into your own darkness and claim your aggression. Aggression is not a flaw. It is the fundamental raw energy required to build a boundary. It is the fuel that allows a human being to say, "No further. If you cross this line, there will be structural consequences." Without the integration of this darker force, you are entirely defenseless against the psychopaths, the narcissists, and the covert manipulators of the world. They can smell a harmless person from a mile away. They track your compliance like a predator tracks a wounded animal. They know you will excuse their bad behavior. They know you will doubt your own sanity before you question their malice. They know that your desperate need to be perceived as good will prevent you from ever exposing them or cutting them off. You become their perfect host. The day you decide to stop being nice is the day you officially step out of the slaughterhouse. It is the day you look at your own weakness and decide to starve it. You begin to realize that the world does not owe you anything just because you decided to be a doormat. The universe does not reward submissive compliance. It responds to power, clarity, and absolute execution. You must be willing to lose the temporary affection of the crowd to gain the permanent respect of your own soul. You must accept that becoming a whole, sovereign individual means you will inevitably become the villain in someone else's poorly written story. And you must be entirely comfortable with that. But breaking the social contract of compliance is not an intellectual exercise. It carries a heavy, structural toll that begins to manifest inside your very cells. As we move into Phase 3, you will understand the dark, physical cost of your silence, and how your own biology has been weaponized against your sanity. When you make the conscious choice to maintain the facade of the nice person, you are not just making a social compromise. You are conducting a highly destructive chemical experiment inside your own nervous system.
Most people treat psychology as if it were a collection of floating, abstract thoughts that exist somewhere outside the physical body. But Carl Jung understood that the mind and the flesh are deeply, inextricably intertwined. He famously observed that what the conscious mind chooses to repress, the physical body is forced to express. Your biological blueprint was never designed to endure permanent emotional submission. Every single time someone crosses your boundaries, insults your intelligence, or exploits your time, your biology prepares a response. Your ancient evolutionary brain detects an attack. It immediately floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline, preparing your muscles to fight or to flee. This is a baseline survival mechanism. It is pure, raw, evolutionary energy designed to protect your territory and enforce your boundaries. But what happens when the nice person receives this biological command? You instantly suppress it. You choke it down. You force a fake smile onto your face, you soften your voice, and you politely nod your head while your internal chemistry is screaming for retaliation. You choose to swallow that lightning bolt of protective aggression just to keep a manipulator comfortable. You trade your internal biological peace for external social politeness. But that energy does not simply evaporate. Energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transferred. Because you refuse to direct that aggressive force outward to establish a firm boundary, the energy turns inward. It reverses its trajectory and attacks your own physical systems. You are literally weaponizing your own immune response against yourself. When you practice chronic people-pleasing, you are living in a permanent state of low-grade physiological trauma. This internal toxicity is the real origin of that heavy, exhausting anxiety that follows you everywhere like an invisible ghost. It is the reason you wake up at 3 in the morning with a tight chest, a racing heart, and a mind that refuses to quiet down. It is not because you have a random chemical imbalance. It is because your body is trying to warn you that you are living under an occupied forces rule. Your nervous system is constantly scanning your environment, fully aware that you are entirely defenseless because you have voluntarily disarmed yourself.
The psychological price of this cowardice is a slow, agonizing slide into pure resentment. The nice person is fundamentally a transactional creature. Because you lack the courage to demand respect or state your needs clearly, you resort to a silent, unspoken contract. In your mind, you believe that if you are nice enough, if you are helpful enough, and if you never cause any trouble, the world will eventually reward you with love, loyalty, and validation. But the world does not operate on childish fairy tales. The world operates on power, leverage, and boundaries. When you give everything away for free without demanding reciprocity, people do not value you, they simply take you for granted. They treat you like a permanent utility, a resource to be consumed until there is nothing left. And when you inevitably realize that your massive sacrifices are being met with baseline indifference or outright exploitation, the illusions shatter. This is the exact moment the white mask of the martyr begins to rot. A deep, dark, poisonous wave of bitterness fills your subconscious mind. You begin to despise the very people you are trying so hard to please. You hate your partner for taking advantage of your silence. You hate your boss for exploiting your inability to say no. And you hate your friends for treating you like an afterthought. But the truth is far uglier. You don't actually hate them. You hate your own cowardice. You hate the fact that you look in the mirror every single day and see a person who refuses to stand up and fight for their own life. This unresolved tension creates what Jung called a fragmented psyche. You become a walking time bomb. Because you cannot express your anger cleanly and directly, your shadow self begins to execute subtle, passive-aggressive acts of sabotage. You forget to do important favors. You withhold affection. You use guilt as a silent weapon.
and you secretly pray for the downfall of the people who depend on you. You have transformed yourself into a spiritual parasite, trading your authentic authority for the miserable, manipulative comfort of permanent victimhood. You cannot sustain this biological betrayal forever without completely destroying your sanity. Your soul is begging for a revolution. But you must be warned. Tearing down a lifelong prison of compliance is a violent, chaotic act. As we step into Phase 4, we approach the absolute point of no return, the brutal social battlefield that awaits you the exact second you choose to drop the mask.
The day you finally decide to stop being nice is not a peaceful day of enlightenment. It is the beginning of a cold, psychological war. Most self-help gurus feed you a toxic diet of superficial optimism. They tell you that the moment you start setting boundaries, the universe will open up, people will applaud your growth, and your life will magically fall into place. That is an absolute lie designed to keep you weak and unprepared for the reality of human nature. Let us look into the dark mechanics of social systems through the lens of Carl Jung's deepest warnings. A human relationship is not a static agreement. It is a system of equilibrium. When you have acted like a people pleaser for years, you have trained everyone in your circle to interact with a specific version of you, the submissive version, the convenient version, the version that always compromises and never fights back. Your weakness was highly profitable to them. Your inability to say no made their lives immensely comfortable. Therefore, when you finally stand up, clear your throat, and say, "No further," you are completely disrupting their equilibrium. You are breaking the unspoken agreement that allowed them to exploit you. Do not expect them to celebrate your newfound strength. They will react with immediate confusion, followed by intense, calculated resistance. The people who benefited from your lack of boundaries will always interpret your boundaries as an act of aggression. The psychological warfare begins almost immediately. Your social circle will deploy a highly sophisticated arsenal of emotional manipulation to force you back into submission. The primary weapon they will use against you is guilt. They will look at your new, firm boundaries, and they will call you cold, selfish, arrogant, or heartless. They will try to make you believe that your self-respect is actually a character flaw. They will say things like, "You've changed," or "I don't even know who you are anymore." You must understand the hidden translation of these phrases. When a manipulator says, "You've changed," what they actually mean is, "You are no longer easy to control. Your compliance has expired, and I am losing my leverage over you." If you do not possess a hardened, integrated shadow, you will collapse under the weight of this collective guilt. You will immediately start doubting your own reality. You will wonder if you really are being too harsh. You will feel an overwhelming wave of anxiety, and you will be tempted to put the mask back on, just to stop the social discomfort. But it is only in this absolute isolation that your true power is forged. When you look around the room and realize that you no longer depend on the cheap applause of the crowd to validate your existence, something extraordinary happens. The invisible chains of social anxiety completely snap. The desperate need to be perceived as a good person dies, and in its place an unshakable, terrifyingly calm internal authority is born. You have crossed the Rubicon. You have shattered the matrix of public opinion. You have become unkillable. The herd has left you behind, but they no longer possess the power to hurt you. You are no longer their captive host. But the journey is not yet complete. Now that the old identity has been completely incinerated, you must learn to operate in the absolute vacuum of your new reality. As we enter our final phase, we will discover the ultimate psychological standard of the absolute, and how to navigate the cold, silent world of the sovereign estratega. When the dust settles on the battlefield of your social reality, you will find yourself standing in an unfamiliar, silent landscape. The parasites who drained your energy have retreated. The master manipulators who weaponized your guilt have gone silent. The false friends who only valued your convenience have vanished into the shadows. For the first time in your entire life, the suffocating noise of public opinion has been completely silenced. You are now occupying the space that Carl Jung defined as the archetype of the sovereign. To reach this state of psychological development, you had to commit a necessary act of destruction. You had to sacrifice the comforting illusion of the herd to claim the cold reality of your own kingdom. You are no longer a fragmented entity desperately looking for external mirrors to tell you who you are. You have integrated your shadow, claimed your aggression, and established an unyielding internal center of gravity. But you must understand that sovereignty is not a permanent state of celebration. It is a heavy, lifelong architectural responsibility. True power does not make your life easier. It makes your standards absolute. When you completely step out of the identity of the nice person, you enter a world where your word is law, but where every single consequence falls squarely upon your own shoulders. There is no one left to blame for your suffering. There is no martyr mask to hide behind when things go wrong. You are entirely, completely free. And that absolute freedom is the most terrifying weight a human being can carry. Operating from this new psychological baseline requires an entirely different set of behavioral protocols. You do not look back at your past compliance with regret. You look at it as a necessary evolutionary cost. The scars left on your psychology by years of self-betrayal are now the steel reinforcements of your boundaries. You have developed a structural intolerance for baseline disrespect, and you no longer require anger to enforce your terms. The nice person screams, argues, and throws emotional tantrums because they are secretly terrified that their boundaries will not be respected. They are negotiating from a position of absolute weakness. The sovereign individual does none of these things. When someone attempts to cross your lines, exploit your time, or gaslight your perception, you do not enter a debate. You do not raise your voice. You do not experience an adrenaline spike. You simply withdraw your presence with immediate, mathematical finality. You understand that your attention is the most valuable currency in existence, and you refuse to spend it on individuals who cannot afford the price of respect. This absolute clarity will make you appear cold and calculating to the outside world. The people who remain trapped inside the collective hypnosis of social politeness will view your silence as arrogance. They will look at your unshakable boundaries and they will call you detached, unfeeling, or untouchable. Let them. Their labels are nothing more than the desperate defense mechanisms of a herd that cannot comprehend the survival strategies of a predator. You are no longer speaking their language. You are operating on a frequency of pure, unfiltered execution. You will begin to realize that the energy you used to waste on managing other people's emotional comfort is now entirely yours to command. You can channel this massive, reclaimed biological force into your vision, your strategic execution, and your deep personal development. You no longer move through the world looking for love. You move through the world establishing order. You have traded the cheap, temporary warmth of validation for the permanent, unshakable stone of self-conquest. This is the ultimate evolution that Carl Jung envisioned when he spoke about individualization. It is the process of becoming a completely distinct, autonomous, and whole human being, completely separated from the collective madness of the masses. You have looked into your own internal abyss. You have faced the monster that lives within your shadow, and instead of running away in terror, you have given that monster a seat at your internal table. You have weaponized your dark side to protect your light. Every single day, the matrix of modern society will present you with the exact same temptation. It will offer you the comfortable, submissive path of compliance. It will invite you to put the white mask back on, to smile through your resentment, to say yes when your biology screams no. and to trade your sovereign power for the miserable safety of being liked by everyone. It is an automated trap designed to keep you weak, dependent, and fundamentally incomplete. But now, you know the cold truth. You know that the nice person is a biological fiction, a psychological parasite fueled by repressed bitterness and silent cowardice. You know that every single compromise you make with a manipulator is a direct nail in the coffin of your own mental security. The day you stop being nice is the day your real life actually begins. It is the moment you accept that you cannot build a monument of self-respect on a foundation of people-pleasing. You must be willing to let the false versions of your relationships burn to the ground so that the authentic, power-based connections can emerge from the ashes. You must be entirely comfortable with walking alone through the dark night of the soul, fully aware that the only validation that matters is the one you see when you look directly into your own eyes in the dark. The choice before you is binary, absolute, and immediate. You can continue to wear the flawless, pleasing mask until your biological systems completely collapse under the weight of your own silence. You can remain a harmless, submissive creature waiting for a broken world to reward your compliance. Or you can choose to claim your shadow. You can choose to shatter the social facade, embrace the dangerous strength that lives within your darkness, and step into the unyielding reality of your own sovereignty. Look at your reflection. Examine the cracks appearing in your social armor. The illusions have been entirely dismantled. The mask is broken. Choose your side. The warmth of the herd or the absolute power of the hunt.